Hi there. Today we are going to be looking at how to Skype the market. And there's one thing I want to point out, that Skyping the market demand precision and demand understanding what actually drives the market. Even if the forex exchange, the foreign exchange market known as the forex market, moves 24 hours of the day, most time each pairs or the volatility of the market are not usually the same. In the Asian market, it is often considered to be ranging, while in the European market, it's often considered to be breaking up from the ranging market. And before we look at the setting up and adding indicators to our trading view and following the signals directly from our G-Signal system, I will point out something that majority of what I'm saying in this video, you can follow along and pay attention to the timing of each entrance and exit, as most times one might enter the market when the market might have gone. That is why in forex market it's very important you understand the forex time zones and how it affects the market. If you look at this, here is the forex time zone converter. You can always go to this baby pips website, search it on the Google, and you will be able to see this site where you can see the forex time. This is the Sydney, this is the Tokyo, and this is the London section, and this is the New York section. We are going to Skype or start Skyping when this particular time zone is here, and now it's about 6:55, and from what we can see here, that means the Skyping will start taking place at 9, when this arrow would have arrived to this place. So with this being said, let's hope and we start. In our last videos, we were able to add the pivot point and the 50-day moving average and the 100 days moving average. We used the exponential moving average. In the Skyping, is okay for we to use any of them, but we will be adding another moving average, the 240 moving average. This is like the chart, and if I turn back the pivot point, you can see that the market is currently ranging because we are still on the Asian section, the Tokyo section, and the market is always ranging. If I add the 50-day moving average, you can see that it's not clear enough, and if I take it back and clicked on the 100 days moving average, you can see that it has a very good support line, which is good for Skyping. Pay attention to the setup, as the setup is very important. I'm clicking on other pairs just for us to see how the changes apply and affects. So the 100 days moving average seems to be a bit perfect, as it draws a good support for us. I'm actually using the 15 minutes time frame for more clarity of each support. If we try it on, let's say, the 5 minutes time frame, you can see that the 100 days moving average is not giving us a good support line. Also on other pairs that will be toggling on. So for this purpose, I will be adding the 240 moving average. I click on, this is just the line, then I click on the indicator line, EMA. I like using exponential moving average because of its lagging, and it's very good.
Global stocks tumble on stretched tech valuations, and as doubts grow over a Fed rate cut next month. China
I'm using the free version of the trading view, and this is to tell everyone that they can really use the free version without paying for the paid version and still be able to perform the analysis every day.
Breaking earnings coming out of Switzerland from Richemont, their first half operating profit beating estimates. This is as the shares have been up 17% so far year to date. They say that first half sales have come in at 10.6
So here we have
the estimate was for 10.42
the 240 moving average set, and I will activate the pivot point, and you can see still on the 5 minutes. There is a good support zone. It has a very good support zone, more than the initial. If I toggle on each, we can see that it has a very good support line.
About stretched tech valuations weighing on sentiment again, but still it has to be said we've got global stocks heading for a fourth weekly rise.
Better than the 50 days and the 100 days moving average. With this being said, let's head on. Okay, we can see that the time is approaching, and this period is about 8:29, let's say approximately 8:30 now, and within the next 30 minutes the London section will be open. And before then, I want to take you guys on a close look on the Skyping systems that we'll have and how they function. The Skyping systems particularly can be used in different ways, and oftentimes I always advise persons that are trading with me or trading along with me to always trade in the direction of the higher time frame. But with our moving average set, we will be rest assured that we are already in the direction of the higher time frame. Let me show you what I mean. This is, for example, the charts, and we have the pivot activated and the 240 moving average activated. And with what we see here, we can see that the 240 is acting as a support for this particular chart, which can enable us to know when it's trending and when it's not. I will toggle on on the pairs here, just for us to see how this 240 moving average is really acting as a support. This is Euro USD, and pay attention, we are operating on the 5 minutes time frame, and you can see that it's acting as a support. We are not seeing the pivot, but the pivot is very far from this place, and using the pivot oftentimes could be too wide for our stop loss because we are scalping. So it's okay and good and recommended. I recommend that using the EMA, the 240 EMA as our stop loss during this scalping is appropriate and okay. This is Euro USD, and you can see how the 240 is really acting as a good resistant line. This is Euro GBP. This is Euro JPY. This is USD CHF, and this is GBP JPY. This is good. This is USD Canadian, and finally this is USD JPY. And you can see very well how the supports are acting very well, in line also with the pivots. We can see with some pairs that have high volatility, like the Euro GBP, you can see that the first pivot has been crossed, the first resistance, and was already approaching to the second resistance line. But the 240 EMA is following suit, which makes it okay. Now let me show you the systems we have and how best the systems do some computations on behalf of the traders. This is our xi.gocity.me, and here, looking at the documentation here, the documentation gives us everything we need to know. The scalping says risk 0.5% of your account and follow using 5 minutes, 15 minutes and 1 hour time frame. Best for full-time traders, meaning you have to monitor the market, and the signal threshold should be 70% and above. That's why we have the 70 plus. And if I click on the scalping, you can see more or less the documentation part of it. Here we have still that explanation, and it says mass trading per day. If you are scalping, in order not to overtrade, 20 is okay in order not to overtrade. And stop loss advice is to use the ATR, and take profit is also to use the ATR. This is based on the popular and well recommended and most popular used cases. But as I'm giving this tutorial, I'm telling you based on experiences and what I see that aligns with the market. And these are the checklists that one should endeavor. You might not need to check all these things, but paying attention to this here we have the summary of what is needed, and all these are the quick overview of what is expected from a scalper and other types of trading. And here I want to click on the scalping. Looking at the scalping board, there's something I want us to pay more attention to, which is the scalping score. The scalping score, if you look, we have 84 here, we have 96 here, 96, 96, 100%, 84, 96, even some that are red, which are indicating sell 100% and etc. Why is these scores like this? There is an estimated pips. There is an estimated pips that each scalper look forward for. You are looking forward for about 10 to 20 or 5 to 10 pip moves, and the system takes these moves into consideration in its calculations. When you see 100%, that does not mean that the scalping is finished, no, but that means that the scalping, according to the system's calculation, has reached a particular threshold, has reached a particular conclusion, that it has achieved its estimated pip calculation. For one that is using the system, I would say it's good you enter following from 80 something or 90 something and avoid entering from when it's 100. I hope this is clear, and let's hope for a better signal as we trade. So we are hoping for the London market to open, and we choose our scalpings and we look at what is needed. You can also see the dashboard.
Even if you have, again, forgive me, I'm not as versed in the UK political scene as perhaps Guy is, but talk to us a little bit about, even if you do have a longer high.
The calendar usage is very essential in scalping, so as not to see or find yourself in an unwanted circumstances, mostly due to big or high impact economic releases. And it's always advisable, and I advise that before you start scalping, always make sure that the pairs you are scalping are free from any economic news releases at that particular time you are holding your trade. Very important. Here is the forex factory. In the previous video I showed us how to get to this place. It's free to use, and if I click on today's 14th, applied, and these are the news we have. And if I go to the filter, this is high impact news, and if I take out this yellow one and click on applied, okay, I will see that today there seems not to be any high impact news coming, which tells me that the trade of today will not any pair I choose will not be a problem. But let's adjust the filter. Let's try to adjust the filter and see. I'm adding this particular one and click on apply, and this is what I'm seeing, and that means if we look at this place 8:45, so if you are holding your trade up until 8:45, there will be French CPI releases, and in as much as it's not a high impact news, it will spike a particular volatility in the market. Knowing this is very important. And also in 10 a.m., 11 a.m. and etc., there are also going to be Italian trade balance releases. 11 a.m. there are going to be flash employment changes, flash GDP and trade balances. There are more information on how to use the forecast from the previous to the actual, and it's for the sake of this video, I want it to be short. I cannot take us on the full explanation, as that will be too much for this video. Okay, so that's being told. Let's wait till 8 or until the trade open. Let's wait till the European market open and see if there will be a spike in the volatility of the pairs, and also we will check on the signals to see if there are differences that emerged as a result of the London market opening. Currently, this is what we have. Currently, this is what we have.
Permian drillers in the States, very domestically focused. So this is a really interesting some of the licenses to take over those assets. Translate the policies from Washington into actionable ideas for Wall Street. It's the morning call you actually want to be a part of. Separating the signal from the noise, with some fun along the way. This is Bloomberg Surveillance. Session's going to be really interesting, I think, to watch in light of what we saw yesterday over in the United States. Big rollover at tech. That obviously had a big implication for the indexes. You certainly saw it in the S&P, but you saw it in the NASDAQ. You've seen it overnight in the Cosby as well. Take a look at what's happening with Bitcoin. This is what the S&P looked like yesterday. We rolled over, we finished near session lows. And I think just in terms of the narrative around the price action, just finishing near session lows is what you want to pay attention to. That's where we went out in Europe, so we've got that to price in. That's some of the downside you've got to factor into your thinking first thing this morning when it comes to this. Eurostoxx 50 down by 0.5%. FTSE futures are down a little bit more, which is interesting because the pound's down, so you would have thought mechanically actually FTSE would be a little bit benefiting from that, maybe benefiting from that, but it's not. There's a lot of concern around the fiscal position, political situation here in the UK. S&P futures are still down as well, which is interesting. So you're not seeing at the moment this morning, this Friday, and it could change as we start to get maybe US traders getting to their desks, that shifting, which is what roughly we are expecting this morning. I think roughly what we are seeing, so futures reasonably accurate there. So yeah, we're down by 0.7%.
Okay, we can see from here that now it's 8 o'clock, and looking at what we have here, it's already in GMT is 8 o'clock, the London time, and the London market is opened, and we can see that instantly there's a signal here that shows 4 hours sell, and the 5 minutes for scalping is also activated. I will make a video about alignment later, and when we come back to the guideline says hold for 5 to 30 minutes for the Skyping. And if we come back to this place and look back to this chart, we are still on the GBP USD that tells us to sell here. Then that means we can be rest assured to Skype this particular system, this particular trade. This is an example of how best to utilize the Skyping, and you can toggle, you can check on other pairs, and the volatilities are more now than what you might expect. From now till the next few minutes or few hours, you will see a directional movement different from what has been happening in the Asian market. And as a trader, one thing I will tell you is there's what makes up a good analytical system. A good analytical system, to be able to build a good analytical system, is like a cook, a chef. For a chef to be able to make a good meal, he has to understand the ingredients that mix up that good meal. And in this our G signal S system, I will tell you also as a cook that the ingredients that mix up a good system is what is being used for this system. This is like the Skyping signals, and you can see what we have been seeing here. Always look at the documentation if for reference on what is expected. I said the goal of a Skyping is to capture small price movement with high speed and precision. The main reason of hoping for a high volatility before we Skype the market is basically because of high volatility in the market. And I can tell you from experience that the Asian market is always ranging in most pairs, not in all pairs, depending on the economic situations of the pairs involved. But most times, the Asian sections are always ranging, and there are always breakouts from the ranging market during the London or the Europe section and the New York sections. Knowing this will help one to trade effectively in the financial market. Additionally, I would say as a good trader, there are one thing or three terms that I think is very important to be a good trader. A good trader is like a food tester. A food tester needs first common sense, second consistency, then the last one you might add to it, or I can tell you that it is still that consistency. And with the systems, if you go through these videos, I have given all the information that and guidelines that one can use to be a good Skyper in order to Skype the financial market, the forex market in particular. Good luck and happy trading, and the best.
The stock that could be impacted by tariffs by the consumer, and we've moved it into the frothier elements of the no earnings and the low earnings type